I'm still hurt fellow humans. I need to vent. I've been dating this toxic girl around 1 year ago, and it was only a 3-month relationship plus some months before that of talking and stuff. In the relationship I had trust issues and I asked her kindly to show me her phone and she did. I went through her ex's messages and when I suddenly reached a point she took the phone by force, said that I wasn't supposed to see that and that it was a secret of her ex's. First she said that she understands if I want to break up with her and after she denied saying that I have a reason to break up. I wasn't sober at all when it happened but I think my gut didn't lie to me. I can still remember the feeling in the room and how out of nowhere I saw her as just a piece of meat. I tracked the periods when we broke up and in that 1-week breakup period she did break up with me. The message that she deleted was received. Yes, I tracked the dates since I didn't fully trust her. I broke up with her 1 month after that and she tried to make it work but I just kept her on C-No-FC. She also said a lot about open relationships, relationship pauses and I knew I had to put an end. When she realized I'm gonna end the relationship, she became very angry and cursed me. Even to this day I hear that she wants to beat me, that she hits up my dearest friends and that she is upset that I don't keep any contact at all with her or didn't wish her happy birthday. Yes, I loved her in 3 months even if it was toxic, and even to this day I can't recover from the fact that she literally cheated on me with her ex. I don't think I will ever recover from this. In the midnight sometimes this thought always come to mind. 1 year after, I hear that she is in a very dark place right now mentally and I think she knows that I know that she cheated on me. We have close friends and she tried to play the victim. She made me, in other words, break up with her so she wouldn't look bad in people's eyes. And me, as a man that I think I am, I said I'm gonna wear the horns, I'm gonna be the bad guy in the story if that is necessary. Will I ever have to open my heart for another woman? I don't really want to. I'm planning on having authority and financial prosperity so I can't get in this position anymore. Made me see the world more cynical and I ain't gonna lie but I want bad things to happen to her. I'm sorry, maybe nobody will read this cause it's TLTR but I can't keep it anymore. Yes. This was one of the biggest fears of my life, and it happened. Redditor's reactions, story 2 after. Redditor 1, I understand where you come from but don't let this women dictate how you are going to live your life. Mate, I know I've been there and I can only realize now how stupid it was to let those people make me live in fear or push me into depth I didn't like. Yes, it is painful. Yes, it was real but don't let them control your life. Instead of fearing it, learn from it, grow from it, become better etc. It's like driving a car, you drive a car but you don't know how the engine works and if something is wrong and you get into an accident, well learn from it, try to understand how cars work, what you need to be careful of, what you need to do to keep it in a good shape etc. Don't live in fear because of this one woman that you spent 1 year with. If you learn and grow then you will be able to meet dozens of good person and spend years of good time with them, be it friends or partner. But you got to learn about people, relationship, emotions, etc. Op answer, TBH, in the last year I doubled my salary. I worked very hard, in getting back in shape. Thing is, I don't have any friends which were born in a healthy family. I refuse to think there is a marriage out there without infidelity or divorce. My parents got divorced because of infidelity, it ruined my childhood more than I can realize. I'm afraid to let go once again bro. I try to become the best version I can be, it's all I can do. But I might die alone and I'm preparing my mind for it. Again, I think there are no couples without infidelity, they are exclusive only on a surface level. I think I'm no longer a dreamer. Story 2, Help me 43M understand if my wife 39F is having an EA or if I am overreacting. Edit, update to November 10th below the full story. Grammar and spelling. D-Day was just 3 days ago. Sorry if this is a very long post, but it helps me put things in perspective. The narrative will be non-linear and a bit stream of consciousness. Bear with me, I am in shock and I am not a native speaker. Some background: my wife and I are married for 12 years, and we have been together for 18 years, we have 2 wonderful kids we adore. Before we had kids dates back to 6 years ago, everything was close to perfect. I love my wife unconditionally and was never jealous. She can do what she wants with no boundaries, even though for very long periods she stayed abroad by herself when we were not married. I had to professionally give up a lot to follow my wife, who had secured a good position abroad. I followed her happily and struggled a bit professionally. After many years I am now fine, and mentally panic attacks, etc. After 5 years we were able to find a good job in our home country, and my wife soon gave birth to my son 6 years ago. After that, I admit and deeply regret I was not supportive and did not help her as I should have done, and this situation started my wife feeling emotionally neglected. Last August she wrote me via a message that she was seeking help talking to friends about our situation and going out with co-workers, no married couples, getting drunk and partying until 3 a.m. Due to my sense of guilt, I was completely supportive of her decision, and never limited her freedom, never done that. But of course, I was a bit disappointed she was acting like a teenager close to her 40th birthday. I ever since tried my best to improve. I might have been not perfect, but I tried while feeling constantly under the microscope. She says I didn't do enough. Fast forward to 10 days ago. I noticed she was constantly on the phone texting, a thing she always has done but with less intensity. Every time I was close to her she would instantly turn off the phone. I confronted her and said, "You are texting a lot lately," to which she yelled at me very violently, stating that she had done a lot that day cooking and that I was not being supportive. I then noticed she was increasingly more distant and seeking to spend more time by herself. Some days ago, after 20 years she wasn't playing tennis. She said she was going to play with a colleague during lunch break, no mention of any names. I said, "Why don't we play together?" and she replied that she had to play with someone who is not a beginner. I am a beginner, because she was an advanced player. 2 days before D-Day I noticed she was close to totally absent, texting basically the whole day with a strange expression, one you would ascribe to an intimate conversation. You know, that smile you had when thinking about your crush as a teenager. Then before going to bed she was in her underwear and texting, not taking pics, and still with that expression. For the very first time in my life I checked her WA 30 seconds and found a conversation with a co-worker not living in our town, 40, no kids, very toxic relationship, that looked very inappropriate. He was saying, "I have bought this pair of shoes to run with you," meaning that they could not run physically together. My wife replied, "I run on Wednesday and Saturday at 6 a.m. to which he replied, "I will run while you run. And then I hold you tight. I am eating swordfish now, my wife, yummy," and he says, "at your disposal." During the night I couldn't sleep and checked again her phone, finding thousands and thousands of messages I couldn't even read. It would take ages. This was going on for months. I then found out she was most of the time chatting with this guy from work she had mentioned in passing months ago, saying that he was going through a difficult time with his girlfriend, he was fun, etc. My wife never introduced this guy to me. She had even been chatting with him before going to bed for 1 hour, saying I am in the bathroom when I was calling her. I confronted my wife the day after and she gave me the "we are just friends, and there is nothing to worry about" textbook excuses. So I kept pushing and asking, and she admitted she was increasingly texting with this guy, and often the center of the conversation was the problems she had with me as a couple. I then asked, to show me the media of the chat and found many pics in the order of 100-200. I am describing sampling the most relevant ones. He at the beach in a swimsuit. Multiple occasions my wife at the beach with a drink while I was with her. In her bikini at least 20 of this category, my wife at the beach wearing a bikini no drink, and then a substantial number of selfies of my wife after running many of these. Recall the above conversation about him wanting to run with even though not in the same physical place. When I confronted her and said she was having an EA, she diminished, saying I was overreacting, it's just some messages to a dear friend to which I am attached to. I kept pushing and she admitted things were getting out of control lately with the texting thousands of messages in 2 days, approximately 5 hours per day. Of course, when she was in the bathroom, see above, she was chatting with this guy, and the tennis partner was obviously him. She doesn't want to admit she had emotionally cheated on me, she does not want to use the word cheating. She didn't realize this was inappropriate, proof being she didn't delete the messages. I said that she was flirting with the guy and asked to read out loud the chats I discovered, the one I mentioned above, and she said she still does not see anything inappropriate, just a friend sharing feelings. As a first step, I am asking my wife to accept she had an affair. She says she wants to call it that way because there was nothing going on and she had no intention to have an affair, but after hours of discussion, she cannot get it. I give her the benefit of the doubt. She didn't know she was having an inappropriate relationship, because in the past she had a number of male friends. We were in the very beginning of our relationship. I tried to ask her how she felt when she went playing tennis with the guy, if she was happy, and she admitted she was. I then said she had to speak with the guy because if she had the impression it was not inappropriate, I am very sure he was hitting on my wife quite deliberately. She did so and said to me he understood and agreed that they shouldn't share any more personal details about our relationship and keep conversations to work and share fun facts. I asked what would feel like if I were to ask her to completely close any connections with the guy. She replied she would miss the interaction because he is a good friend and he is a colleague and she cannot shut things off completely. It seems to me that, even if my wife cannot admit it to herself, she has a crush on the guy. What do you think about this? Am I overreacting? I want to be sure I am putting the right label to this situation to find ways to cope with this. I am absolutely determined in reconciliation, but if I don't exactly know what this is, I cannot plan the right actions to govern the situation. Update November 10th. My wife is starting to accept the fact she had an EA, and to completely cut comms with the AP. I just finished IC and OFC. The therapist said this is textbook EA, which now as a rational person reassures me that I am not imagining or making things up. Maybe tonight I will sleep, who knows. The therapist also said to stop being her shrink friend and behave only as her husband. We scheduled a mount session next week and my wife accepted without hesitation. Let's see how it goes until then. In the meanwhile, the therapist prescribed me to have my time alone and focus only on myself. Redditor's reactions, story 3 after. Redditor 1, no. This relationship is wildly inappropriate. This next part will be difficult to hear. Your marriage is in deep trouble and might be over. It's ultimatum time. This friendship ends now. Over. If she balks or beaches, you have your answer. See a lawyer and do what she advises to prepare for the divorce. Do not tell your wife until it's time to file. Sorry to be the bearer of bad news, but this is exactly what happened to me. I tried to save the marriage and prolonged the agony for years. Learn from my mistakes. Redditor follow-up, no reduced contact. End all contact and open phone policy. Your wife is having an emotional affair. She gets to dictate 0 terms. You may have already lost her, but if you waver on this or show any weakness about your willingness to end the marriage, you will definitely have lost her and your family for good. Don't play the pick-me dance. Don't blame yourself for what she has chosen to do with this man. She is in the affair fog and will only concede the bare minimum to get you to back off. She will ramp up the affair as soon as you apologize for not supporting her. Read Not Just Friends by Shirley Glass to understand how addictive these years are, and why your wayward spouse will find it so hard to let go. She has shown no remorse for her actions of hurting you. She is acting like a teenager because you are allowing her to feel like one with this man. You have to make her understand she is facing the very real grown-up consequences of losing her marriage and family. Immediate no contact. She calls him in front of you. I see for both of you MC can come later if your marriage survives. Look up Grey Rock Method and 180 to understand how to communicate with her and treat her while you are deciding if you can still see a future with her. Any resistance to any of these terms and you go Grey Rock and consult a lawyer. You should do this regardless to know your options and protect yourself and your children. Let her know you will divorce over this affair. If you downplay the significance of what is happening, sweep it under the rug, claim you can't leave because of the children, you will lose what is left of the wife you knew, and there will be nothing left to save. Join subreddits are surviving infidelity, and are as one after infidelity for support. Good luck and please update us. Redditor 2, you are not overreacting. Any outside relationship which takes energy from the marriage is an emotional affair. How would she feel if you were devoting all your time at home texting a female colleague? Redditor 3, you are not overreacting. I'm not saying your wife did anything really bad. It does sound like an EA, but it's dangerous. It's very dangerous to a marriage when a partner starts sharing stories, info, details, emotions, about their marriage and spouse, and it always goes into other things. If you think about it, this is how love affairs start between unmarried people. You meet someone you're attracted to, you start talking about common interests, maybe you work together, go to the same gym, have some of the same habits, and you start talking about your background, family, problems, and eventually, you get closer until you do start having romantic feelings and kissing and having time. That's how it proceeds and why EAs are so dangerous. This is stuff she should be sharing with you first of all, if there are problems. And with her girlfriends if she just wants to complain as women do, or with a therapist if there are problems that need real internal work. Opposite time friends are a danger to marriage committed relationship, because the attraction that naturally exists or they wouldn't be friends can evolve into something else given the right situation. You are very right to be concerned about this, and it sounds like your wife already has developed romantic feelings. This needs to stop, the contact needs to stop, no contact, and she and possibly you need to get into therapy, individual and marriage. I'm not a big fan of marriage counseling, but if there are issues she's having trouble defining or talking to you about or vice versa, it can help those to come out. It might also help her to see from an independent party that what she's doing is dangerous to the marriage. I'm not saying it's morally wrong, just that this is the road to temptation and has to be avoided. Also, if you pick a counselor and you don't like them, feel free to change as well. Not all counselors are equally adept at all issues. Answer, this is a really great comment. From the bottom of my heart I am grateful, it helps a lot. I am going to have the first therapy session today in 3 hours, wish me luck. I told her it is always inappropriate to talk about marriage issues with other time friends. She confided with a number of girlfriends about every single detail of what I was doing wrong, even when I mistakenly parked the car in her spot, just to state the most absurd one. Today I gave her an ultimatum. 1. End the communications with the AP altogether and limit them only to work-related stuff. No funny texts, no nothing else. 2. No lies, no hiding. I made it very clear that one single lie will end our marriage. 3. She has to work a lot to gain my trust back, and she has to understand that this will not be an easy path, or something that occurs overnight. 4. No more privacy until hopefully things are fixed. I committed that I will try not to be too harsh to help her not get into defensive, but she has to tolerate that from time to time the tones can get strong. I also made clear that I will take any effort to restore our marriage if she also gets to work hard and abide by those rules boundaries. Story 3, How to Ease the Pain. So, around 10 days back, I found that my girlfriend 27F of 5 years who I was planning to marry in a couple of years was cheating on me 30M by sleeping with her coworker from work for the past 2 months, and she told me only when I pushed her a lot to tell me if there is someone. For the longest time, she kept saying that there was absolutely nothing and kept saying to me that it's my insecurity and that I was overthinking. Ultimately she did confess and told me, yeah, I have been sleeping with XYZ. We have had time a few times over the past month and a half, and I told her it will be the last time she hears from me ever again, and I didn't want to see her again. I blocked her from everywhere out of anger, and for the past week or so I was totally cool with it, in a state of fuck it, but I really wanted her to know how I was feeling. I absolutely do believe in no contact, but now that I have to actually do it, it's way more challenging than I thought. So when she reached out to me saying how she's sorry and never wished she did any of it, and that it was a mistake on her part, I really gave her a piece of my mind. I told her that her actions till now don't actually indicate any remorse, and they're more directed towards making herself feel better so that she can be a better person in her own eyes rather than being sorry for that she did to me. Her reaching out to me and not being remorseful as I had hoped made me feel worse directly or indirectly. And so I told her that I didn't want to meet in person, so I wrote a longest message telling how hurt I am by her actions, among other things. All I got in reply from her was, okay, if that's what you feel. Bye. I just blocked her again, as that message also felt like a stab wound, and it kinda triggered something in me. That she's not actually remorseful, and how I don't actually mean a lot to her like I thought I did, and she told me how she did. It's been a week since we last talked, and as more and more days pass by, the major emotion that has overcome everything else is sadness. Nothing but pure emptiness and extreme sadness. My heart feels heavy, I sleep for 12 hours a day, I don't feel like doing anything at all, and I am absolutely miserable. And there's this never-ending heaviness in my heart. I have palpitations and sweating during the night, I often wake up and find myself crying, and I find myself doing nothing but thinking to myself about how could she do this, why did she do this, why did she not come to me, sort things out, and most of all, why did it happen to me? I really want to see how she's actually feeling, and I want to see the estimating chats she and her coworker exchanged, what she has been telling her friends to justify her behavior, what her friends have been saying about me to her. Not the it that she was telling me earlier, but I wanna know how she's feeling in reality. I don't know if that will do me any good, most probably not. It's gonna make me feel more miserable, but I kinda wanna know. I am extremely hurt and I'm in an ocean of sadness that I wanna get out of, but I don't know how to swim. I also want to go back to that state of fuck it, but can't seem to do so now. Redditor's reactions. Redditor 1, this is called pain shopping. Stop it. Complete no contact is what you need. She is a city person with city morals leading a city life. It is normal to want her to suffer and be miserable without you and to think of her pining away for you and what she lost. The reality is she barely thinks of you and has no remorse for the pain she caused you. Forget her and get on with your life. Redditor 2, everyone will tell you this, but it helps. Regulate your sleeping and eating. 8 hours only, 3 meals a day. Go to the gym, and work off your frustration with physical exertion. I set record lifts and reps all the time out of pure hatred and anger, and ran longer than I ever had. It really helped a lot. Make your life a routine, and stay away from quiet periods of time where you think about it. If you can do it, never speak to her again. This is a contest between you and her, and in this case you simply must win. If you break and contact her, there is a decent chance she will work her way back. If this happens, you will never be free of her infidelity. I stayed with my girl, and even 30 years later I still am dealing with this asset. I lost, and you must win. Redditor 3, all I got in reply from her was okay, if that's what you feel. Bye. This is why betrayed spouses should go no contact and never break it. You expect to see the person you think, but she shows you who she is. But don't be surprised, she already did it by cheating on you. Thinking to myself about how could she do this, why did she do this? How? Because she is selfish and doesn't care about you but just herself. Why? Because she wanted to do it, she liked the external attention. Why did she not come to me sort things out? You really have to understand it has nothing to do with you. This is not due to a lack of you, it is due to her character flaw. All you should do is be careful about the characters of the people you will be with and not let such people into your life. If you don't have to see her friends again, F them, don't care about what they think. But if you want, you can expose her affair too. You don't need to tell each person individually, it's enough for a few people to know who love gossip. Mutual friends and both families should definitely know. Answer, thank you. You are right. Also, I have told my family and close friends. We don't have many mutual friends, but I have blocked those friends of hers with whom I don't wanna maintain any relations anyway,